a nail bomb exploded in Brixton Market, wounding 40 people. 2 days later, another bomb warning was received.
Down this side, behind the taxi.
So on the other down the yard.
Clear it as soon as we can, but we've got to clear the road.
I'm going here. Where do you want to go?
Just go now. Trying to let the bomb down. If you want to walk into the middle,
Yes,
it's up to
we're
you.
working.
Yes, I'm sorry, but it's good to clear it for the moment. Okay, you're up working there. Back that way, people. Back that way. No, that way. Yeah, sorry, mate. It's closing the street. You have to move back.
What happened there, Jim?
And the lady just had a panic attack, and obviously didn't help with the huge crowd gathering around to watch and enjoy this spectacle, although there wasn't very much to see, there's no blood or anything. I've had quite a lot of hostility, well, mild hostility from people who wouldn't get out of the way, who wouldn't understand what we're trying to do here, who didn't seem to appreciate that having been a bomb on Saturday, we're taking things very seriously now. And it was quite a job to try and get some cordons in. And I have to say that most of the people that were awkward were not white, unfortunately. Yeah.
Come on, what's going on here? That's stupid. Forward.
The difficulties police have with race issues were fully exposed by the inquiry into the fatal stabbing of black teenager Stephen Lawrence 6 years ago. Under intense media scrutiny, Commissioner Sir Paul Condon accepted the report's verdict. The Met was guilty of incompetence, insensitivity, and unwitting institutional racism. Condon revealed that they had already begun a major effort to improve the force's handling of race. The Commissioner warned his senior officers that resistance to change was not an option.
Moving on, in the public interest and in the Met's interest. Recognise that the Met not only can move forward, is moving forward, and it will continue to change. Non-negotiable. Don't want huge debate back into the past. This was unfair, that was unfair. It's an unfair world. Doesn't begin to compete with the unfairness and the tragedy for Neville and Doreen Lawrence. So I don't want to hear whinging around unfairness or we can't move on. This is about getting past the past and moving on in the public interest and in the Met's interest.
The VW.
The Golf one?
Yeah, he's got his light. One of his near side brake lights out.
Officers on the street have now been told to deal more carefully with people from ethnic minorities. They must have good reasons to stop them. It's not enough that the driver is black.
I just want to step onto the side of the road. I mean, the reason I'm stopping you is your near side light's out. You've seen that? How long has it, hold on, how long has it been like that?
Oh, just now.
Just now?
Yeah.
What about the excessive speed that you're driving down that road? The road you just come down before you turn right, Croxted Road. It wasn't 30 miles an hour, was it? Was it?
Do you have documentation on you at all for the vehicle? Any identification, driving licence, insurance? No. MOT? Whereabouts you off to? Club? What club are you going to?
Don't know yet.
You don't know yet?
Stop and search. How many pro rata are being stopped per head of population? In London, we're talking to 3 to 4 times as many blacks as you would expect are stopped and searched. Now, I know some of the social issues. I know we police disadvantage. I know all of that. But the disproportionality is so great in some parts of London and some parts of the country that it's very hard to explain.
The man in charge of the Met's new anti-racist strategy is Assistant Commissioner Dennis O'Connor. He's taking the message all over London that training, attitudes and behaviour must change, but even middle-ranking officers remain to be convinced.
Most of our robberies are occurring around the bus station, the train stations, and most of the suspects are black. I would expect, with the intelligence we're going to give them about the suspects that we have, that most of their searches are going to be black. And that's not disproportionality, it should be proportionate to the number of allegations that we've got against black suspects. And yet we're hitting ourselves over the head because of these figures. And the Commissioner himself, I think, has said that 85% of robbery suspects in London are black. So if we search 85%, if we're using intelligence-led policing against robbers, that would be fair.
The difficulty with it is that The disproportionality for stopping and searching vehicles is even greater than it is for stops around your bus station. And disproportionality is very large around areas which have no robbery problem whatsoever. So, on one level, you're right. If it were just robbery, and that was it would be easy. It's not.
Police have been attacked for mistreating black people whom they stopped. They're also accused of ignoring their calls for help.
What's the matter with my missus? She's been having this ongoing with this little punk, right? She's reported it to Stratton Police how many times? He just assaulted her again, yeah?
No, he's not. I've asked him 4 or 5 times. I've got to ask you one.
No, I'm okay, man. I told you what I'm
He says...
I told you what I'm upset about, man. I'm not upset. I'm okay about that, yeah?
I'm okay. John,
there's no fear.
Come back and John. He says he's okay.
I'm okay, man.
I'll put the fan in there. But John.
Yeah, you lot want to use me as a guinea pig for this CS, innit? Jokers, man.
The police used CS spray on this man and arrested him for brandishing a knife in a quarrel. But he says he was driven to protect his girlfriend from another man after trying many times to involve local police.
Listen to me, my man. Yeah, I'm just going to say this to you. Nothing has changed since the Lawrence report, and if it does, it'll be a miracle, yeah? Am I lying? You can smile. I'm telling you from personal experiences, yeah?
In order to start the whole thing off, I'd like you to tell me what ethnic group do you find most difficulty in dealing with on the streets?
The group I'd probably find most difficult to deal with would be young black males, mainly because of what I perceive to be their immediate and sometimes groundless hostility towards being stopped.
The Met hopes this intensive 2-day training course on community race relations will change force attitudes. It is planned that every one of their 26,500 officers should go through it. They start by encouraging them to admit their prejudices.
The only one, or the only one, but one I do find difficulty in communicating with, or group I did find difficult communicating with, were the Somalians. I find it difficult to know when they're not telling me the truth. If there's one thing that does really get up my nose, if you like, is people of any race when they pretend that they can't speak English.
If I'm brutally honest, I think it's easiest for me to say who I don't have problems dealing with or difficulties communicating with. And that would, for me, I have no problem talking to white people, but I get confused and I really don't understand most other nationalities, whatever they be.
When in Rome, one should act like a Roman.
I think if you had a particular religious problem, or not so much a problem, but a particular religious thing that you like to do, when you went to a country that did something that was against that, you would have a problem in adapting. But in general, I think, provided that country provides the information so as you know what a Roman does in Rome, then you should try and abide by that where you can.
You get it all the time. People are coming over here, and it's always take, take, take. People are always wanting more. And it's a case of if you end up standing up for yourself, saying, no, I don't want this, you automatically start getting a label, or people start pointing a finger at you, saying, what's your problem?
Okay, next question. Rastafarians should, as part of their religious practice, be allowed to consume marijuana.
I've put disagree. A lot of people adopt the stereotypical look of a Rastafarian with the dreadlocks, the clothing, and the mannerisms. And how are we going to be able to know exactly who we're dealing with? And then people turn around and say, well, hey, I'm a Rastafarian, I'm allowed to do this. That would be, I think, that would make our job a nightmare.
Chris, what do you think?
It goes back to number 2, when in Rome, one should act like a Roman. There's laws of the land, and you uphold the laws of the land, and you don't try and change them. And we'll have, we'll be slaughtering sacred cows in the streets and everything.
Where was the £2.50?
In my money bag.
Right, well, where's that?
He's taken it.
Right. Where was the money bag when he took it from you?
In the pocket.
Right, so did he go through your pockets?
Yes.
If you get in the car and we drive around, do you think you might be able to point him out? Man in the black jacket, not much of a description for us to go on, is it? So if you get in the car and we drive around, you might be able to find him.
Go to my colleague. Whatever that means. 17 Crayford House, Staples Street, SE1.
Right, Kenneth, if you just keep an eye out for...
So was he a black man or a white man?
A black man.
Was he wearing a hat?
Like a football hat on.
Football hat?
Yeah.
Would you like a bobble hat or a pink one?
A pink one.
There's a few people along here, so have a good look.
Paul Condon said himself that most robberies are committed by young black males, and if you're looking for young black males, you're looking for knives, and you're bearing all these things in mind, and you are going to get an awful lot more people stopped and searched.
What Sir Paul Condon said, or was relating to, was that in fact there was a large amount of street robberies committed by a small amount of young black men. I.e. they were focusing a particular operation against a certain number of black people who they perceived were causing a disproportionate amount of street crime. Well, I don't have a problem with that. If that's the case, get out there and nick them. But in the process, be wary of the fact that you might actually be bringing people into that net who actually aren't involved in street crime, and you're feeling the impact of a perception which is generally I think held that black men, let's be straight, black men are robbers. But let me ask you this question: is it as easy, do you think, to describe black people as it is white people?
You can give me a description of a black person, and that you could walk right past me in the street, and I would have great difficulty in recognising them. And it's a terrible sort of thing to do, but they all look the same to me at this stage of my service, and that's for 20 years in, and I don't think they picked up on it.
And
or
that's
if they
honest.
have,
That's honest. And I think the victims of crime are also finding it probably. I would imagine the descriptions generally are pretty poor. But when it comes to describing black people, I believe white people have difficulty.
Yes, Lima Delta 23.
Officers often have little to go on but the colour of skin. In a multiracial area like Brixton, that's not much help. And language problems make it even harder to gather evidence.
Which way did they go? My mother lives here, and then they go off the break.
No, I see, I'm working. My mum found to mobile phone outside, the black man is broken the window.
Actually, see a bunch of black people run away that side.
Right, okay,
The only thing I know it till now.
Right. Can't you describe them any more than that? Just a bunch of black people, or is
Yeah.
anything else?
Pode dizer mais alguma coisa? O que é que eles têm vestido?
Eu sei, não vê, porque eu assustei-me porque os gatos fugirem todos para isso,
My mother says she's not concentrated because
Eu já estava assustada que eles estavam
all the cats run away up and all
Okay,
the things.
I understand. Not to worry.
And the brick is over there.
Oh, right. I see. Right. Where's the brick? Oh, down there.
She's having trouble.
Any
Maybe-
idea? Any idea why it's happened to this flat?
I don't know. Maybe sometimes I help the police and maybe it's because of that.
And I wonder when they're going to realise that we're doing our best. You know?
No, we do the job because, I mean, they're here to help people, aren't they, basically? You know, and you're out in the street trying to do your best to help people, the public, and whilst you're doing your work, they accuse me of being a racist.
Encouraged by the Lawrence inquiry, many black people are now much more likely to complain of harassment. Officers now fear that any contact with black men could lead to trouble.
Someone's asking us directions to something mundane like that, and then you'll get people come up and stand around you because they think they're protecting the person you're talking to. And and we've had people take our shoulder numbers, and afterwards they give our shoulder numbers to the person we're talking to and say, look, if you need us to back you up or anything like that, you know, you can count on us, sort of thing. And all we're doing is responding to the public by giving them directions and things like this. It's
Some people are very mistrustful of us, and we have to do all the compromising.
People are discriminating against us and being prejudiced towards us, waving arms, fingers, shouting, abusing, spitting at us, and we're going to stand there. We're human, we're not robots. Just because we put a uniform on doesn't mean we're going to stand there.
Let's say you've been stopped 20, 30, 40 times for apparently no reason, and people disrespect you every time they stop you. No, you haven't done that, but every time this has happened to you. Maybe 4 or 5 times in the same day. You think, what the heck is going on? Why are they treating me like this? You have a duty to act professionally. That is your duty. And you can't get away from that. You can't say, oh, well, but they pissed me off. None of you would admit that you have racial prejudices, But I think you would accept at some point that there are people who have racial prejudices. If 1% of the Metropolitan Police has racial prejudices, that's approximately 260 officers. If those 260 officers act in a racist way on the street every day and impact, let's say, 10 people, that's 2,600 incidents a day. You can start to see the disproportionate impact. Stop searches, arrests, cautions, horties, everything.
It's a C or a D wedge. If you go halfway along Northway Road from Cambria Road, they are in the vehicle.
C or D, it's a blue mini Metro.
Yeah, John, we're in Northway Road now. We're just looking out for it.
The right to stop and search is jealously guarded by Met officers. They see it as a key weapon to fight crime, and they resent being asked to do less of it. But research shows that most casual stops produce nothing in the way of evidence, and they lead to resentment from the public.
This would be a good thing whereby you could do a stop search here, because you've got very good evidence that these are the two that were involved in the breaking and entering of the car. They've also, what you could search them for is articles concerned with, you know, going equipped to steal. So, you know, you'd be quite within your right.
The Met is working on ways to keep stops and searches to an effective minimum. In 5 areas where officers had to justify such action in writing, it led to fewer people being stopped and many more of those actually arrested and charged.
That's what they're saying at the moment. The car. Okay. Have you watched the down front there? What's that there?
What do you think that is, mate?
What
do you think that is, mate?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, I've got that.
And where's the car registered to?
Bristol. Bristol.
He's in down in Brixton.
Is that a crime?
No, it's not.
It's just a question.
Just asking. You come a long way.
I know, but...
No, I'm not saying it's a crime. I'm just wondering why. I mean, normally when we get cars, they're normally quite local addresses. Have you got anything with your name and address on it?
Credit card or anything like that.
Nothing at all.
Nothing in the car? In the glove box?
Quite a nice car, isn't it? Is there a lot to insure? How much is your insurance?
900, just under £1,000.
No stress, man. No stress. Just your lights out. The reason why we asked you the questions is because, you know what I mean, it's not just that we stopped you. We stopped you for a specific reason. It's just that
just checking out
we
the
just
cars.
need to check
Checking
that.
out the car's yours.
We don't disbelieve that you can own a car, because not every black man can't own a car. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's just that it's the way we ask the questions.
Part of the Met strategy is to try and teach officers what it feels like for the black men they stop so frequently.
Who's been stopped by the police before?
I think we all have. We all have.
Okay.
They go through my pockets, my personal things. Like, for example, I might have a condom in my handkerchief.
All right.
And they're going through that and they're showing it to everybody who's walking past me or whatever.
All right. So that must be quite embarrassing for you.
It's very embarrassing.
Hearing firsthand from black men themselves is the climax of the 2-day training.
And I was in Knightsbridge, which is a pretty affluent area. And I was just, you know, then again, it was the middle of the night. I was just going to go and sit here. And police pulled up to me and said, "Were you walking back?" So I'm going to see a friend. What, round here? I goes, "Yeah, round here." They just didn't believe me.
Why do you think they did that, Richard?
I don't know. I just walking, minding my own business. All right, it's middle of the night, but even if it was daytime, you know.
So you think you have a right to do that?
Of course I have a right to. Why can't I?
Do they have a right to stop you?
Well, not really, no. I don't see what. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just minding my business, you know. Not doing anything at all.
How do you feel that the black community views the police at the moment?
We have a lot of distrust.
Why is that?
Even with the Stephen Lawrence thing that's going on still now. I mean, there's no trust. There's none whatsoever.
Richard, you have the same perception?
Yeah, I think that case, it just, when you look and you see what's gone on, it just really makes you just feel really terrible. It's so, you know, makes you feel, what's, you know.
So you obviously think that race is an issue?
Yeah, of course, yeah, definitely.
Would you say that the police is a racist institution?
I think so, yeah. I think it is interesting. I
what
don't
do
care
you mean
what
by that?
context.
There's a few bad apples there.
There's bad
obviously.
apples in there. There's definitely bad apples.
What's the major difficulty in the way the police approach? What is it that they're doing wrong?
They've got an attitude problem.
What do you mean, an attitude problem?
It's a power game, isn't it?
You mean they don't give you respect?
No, a lot of them don't. Because they think they're wearing a uniform, that's it. That gives them the power to do what they want.
Okay, let's throw it open.
There were mistakes, and that is why an awful lot of this is going on. But what we're saying is that you get tarred with the same brush as the other black kids or the other black units around. I get tarred with the same brush as some of the bad people that you've dealt with because I'm wearing a uniform. That's not fair either.
I mean, I know what it's like to be stopped. It was no great drama. I thought, you know, I suppose I found myself saying to myself, well, how can they be, you know, how can they stop me, or how can they be stopping me? But then again, they had their reasons, you know. They gave me their grounds for why they stopped me, and you know, I obviously didn't sort of turn around and say straight away I'm a policeman, because, you know, like you say, I just wanted to see what would happen, and that, and you know, I was treated okay.
I've got a lot of sympathy for young people getting stopped as well, because my brother's a lot darker than I am. He's, you know, a lot darker skinned, and he's 19 and he drives a sports Fiesta, and he gets stopped all the time. He gets stopped like every other day, and he's always telling me that he gets stopped and searched. You know, he's generally dealt with quite well, but he's often told me about incidents where he hasn't been dealt with very well, and he's had people, police officers, not being very nice to him.
Both groups are talking about attitude. But who is the professional in that encounter? I would say you are. You're the professional. There's an obligation on you to act professionally. You can't afford to say, well, but they wound me up. They pissed me off. Because you're the professional. And we expect certain behaviors from you. My concern is we've got to break that cycle. How do we do that? That's the purpose of the training. I wish that I could get the members of the public in this room and explain to them why you do what you do. But they're not professionals. They have no obligation to sit in here. There's no way to reach them.
You'd like to get members of the public to realise how we work.
Yeah.
How does it work in America? I'm only going by what I see on like TVs, documentaries and stuff like that, and the public seem to accept the way the police work out there.
That's because we don't try to police with consent, Paul. Right. We shoot you.
Maybe that's the answer.
So when we approach a stopped vehicle with hands on weapons, one standing back, and you make one false move, man, you're gonna get shot.
You're away for an American police officer, you'll shout stop or I'll shoot. Yeah. Whereas a British police officer will shout stop or I'll shout stop again.
Personally, I don't think I don't think as a result of the training it's changed my policing or my attitude to policing at all. Because I think hopefully, like most of my colleagues, I police everyone correctly and within the parameters that are set for us, and we all do it accordingly. The job's very politically correct now.
I think some people can play on it, especially in the current climate now. You'll find that if you do stop someone, they will play on the fact that we're in the sort of highlight at the moment.
The spotlight on race has made solving racially motivated crimes a Met priority. A new racial and violent crime task force uses top detectives and a new intelligence network to track racist crimes all over London. Its boss is John Grieve, former head of the anti-terrorist squad.
This is about how we're going to move forward onto the front leg, onto the front foot. This is a quotation from Sir Herman Ousley. He said, "Same crap, different day from the police." Okay, different crap from the police is my position. We've got to move forward. You are the agents for the change in the service. It's taking the lessons that we learnt from fighting terrorism and applying them to this particular problem. You made London a hostile environment for terrorists. You can make London a hostile environment for racists.
The background to this investigation stems from criminal allegations made to us in the Community Safety Unit here at Kentish Town. These allegations concern an overtly racist letter sent to the victim at his home address, and also racially derogatory language.
Racist crimes are paid more attention locally through new community safety units.
The letter received by the victim has been typewritten, and to give you an indication of the content, I'll just read a couple of the opening lines. It says, "Listen, boy, just because our daughter chooses to disgrace herself by behaving like some nigger-loving white trash, that doesn't give you the right to treat her like nigger-loving white trash. When you got her pregnant, you wanted to ruin her life by insisting that she keep and give birth to the poisonous scum, tying you and your bestial breed to infect our family for generations."
Using the new intelligence system, racist attacks in Kentish Town have been traced to an address 20 miles away. It's a sign of change that a team of officers will travel so far to deal with what was previously considered a minor offence.
We consulted with Scotland Yard, DAC John Greaves, Anti-Race Race Hate Task Force, brought them on board with us to make sure we were in line with legislation. The evidence we had indicated that it was probably done on a computer, and therefore we're looking at any materials which can be used to either mass produce or other evidence of race hate crimes. On 1st September last year until the end of February, we had 127 racially motivated crimes on Kentish Town Division. A vast majority tend to be racial abuse under the Public Order Act, which we have to take alternative tactics to tackle.
To see if its new strategy is satisfying the black community, the Met uses marketing methods to interview hundreds of ethnic minority victims.
Hello, I'm calling on behalf of the Metropolitan Police Service.
Roger.
And I understand that you have recently been a victim of crime?
Yes.
You reported racial harassment, is this correct?
That's right.
Okay. And how satisfied were you with the speed you were answered when you were telephoning the police?
Not that satisfied.
Okay. Did the police treat the incident seriously?
Not at the time.
And did they treat you courteously?
No, not really.
And do you have any comments to make about the service you received from the police on this occasion?
They could have taken my case a little bit more seriously at the time.
It's hard to convince the public that the Met is changing its ways in dealing with race. In an effort to restore confidence, the top brass present their new policy to community groups all over London. Making public apologies for past mistakes is a new and deeply uncomfortable experience.
Troublesome realities for the police. We are neither liked nor trusted by some of those we seek to serve. Consciously or unconsciously, that may affect our behaviour, that's police behaviour. Public perceive us to have dropped the ball on race issues. Unless we pick it up and run with it of our own accord, we will get a spiral of declining confidence, and you will not wish to help us deal with crime matters. But our defence would be, up until the middle of this summer, but we treat everybody the same. We've got a statement of equality. We try and treat everybody equally. Well, we've reached a different position on that. We've decided that colour blindness is not good enough. You miss a trick if you don't understand the reality of being black or brown on the streets of London. And we've come to some decisions over the last few months. We've decided that the water's poisoned. We have racists in the police, we have racism in the police, and some of our outcomes are downright discriminatory. We know the water's poisoned, but we drink it anyway. However, you have got a police service which is decidedly restless in the face of spiritual poverty. You have got a police service who want to do something about this.
I found your presentation very interesting, but to be honest, it never really convinced me that the future is going to be better for the black community. Basically, what I think you just gave to the meeting here today is just a regurgitation of everything that has come out in the past 15 years. I don't see really what the unit that you're heading as really offering anything new.
I'm not going to, I'm not going to get defensive about this and say I'm regurgitating. Some of it is very basic. Some of it we invented 170 years ago. There are no really new solutions to it. There's just some more technology, some more kit and equipment. There's a lot of dedication. You can come and challenge me 3 months' time, 6 months' time. Hold me to the list of objectives.
The tidal wave of criticism from both outside and inside the police has unsettled Met officers. Those working closely with John Grieve have seen most clearly the problems involved in change.
Our big concern is the loss of public confidence and the breakdown in relationships between the service and the public we serve. Public perceptions of us, yes, and then there's also the problems of the officers. Many of them are in denial, many of them are embarrassed. Human nature draws up defensive barriers, and we're just concerned that if we batter the people in the organisation too far and tell them they've got everything completely wrong, we'll lose any goodwill that may be there.
This is really, really difficult. This is amongst the most difficult things I've ever done. Compared with the IRA, you know, this is seriously difficult. The institution of policing will change over the next few years, I've got no doubt. I don't think people realise what a massive change it is to say that you police according to need, not according to treating everybody equally. That is an enormous change in thinking and philosophy. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in the arena, or do you want to be in the cheap seats? You know, and where else is there to be at the moment, at the end of the 20th century? It's got to be here. You know, they can sit and snipe from the side, but the real place that things will happen will be here in the Metropolitan Police, and we created...
Grieve, a detective with a philosophy degree, sat through every session of the Lawrence inquiry and was very troubled by what he heard.
Just on up to it.
In looking at this exercise, what we're doing is we're saying, you know, let's just think about the experiences you've had. And the
He asked Diana Yak, a specialist in race relations, to help his team share their feelings.
It's very important to acknowledge that this is a confusing, mystifying, perplexing, emotional area, coming to terms with no prescriptive answers. And a lot of police work is about the buzz culture, buzzing around, moving on to the next thing, a bit like a busy bee, and lots of flashing lights and excitement. This is probably none of those things, in the sense that you've got to come to terms with human feelings and emotion.
There is an exciting bit of this, which is we are going to lock some people up, because that's what we're here for. We'll change the culture because we will lock some people up for racism.
Again, it's a single guy who's living with his mum, who's wanted for some racial graffiti. He's got previous anyway, recently, so we're hopefully going to catch him at his mum's address and arrest him for an offensive criminal damage.
The unit at Scotland Yard.
Huge resources are now being devoted to racially motivated offences that used to be ignored. In the past 6 months, reporting of racist incidents and arrests of racists have both gone up by nearly 300% compared to the same period last year. The crimes range from murder to graffiti.
Police officers from Felton Police Station. Is Michael in?
He's asleep.
Can we come in and speak to him, please?
No, he's dead.
No,
we need to speak to him, I'm afraid.
God. Which one is it, Mrs. This one?
Not yet.
Yeah. Michael, how are you, man? Hello.
Michael, I'm arresting you on suspicion of criminal damage by using racial graffiti, all right? You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you later on in court.
I haven't done anything,
anything you do say may be given in evidence.
I haven't done anything.
All right. Right, listen, I want to search your room for any fountain pens or any racial literature.
You're coming in here searching, right, and arresting me. Obviously, you must have proof that I've done something.
With reasonable grounds to suspect you've committed an offence, which is arrestable.
I have not been doing anything at all.
Well,
we'll
sort out
search.
We'll sort out the rest of it when we get back to Chiswick Police Station. At the moment, we're searching your bedroom. Okay.
I can open it.
We've explained to your mum what's happening.
You can open that if you want. You don't have to throw things around. You shouldn't be throwing stuff around.
Who else lives here? You and your mum.
That's it.
Anybody else? That's it.
That's it.
Right.
What have you got in here, Michael?
This is stuff for when I go away. Can't you see? I mean, you can see.
Right. Are you planning on going away?
Yes, I am going away one day. Yes. Can I go away?
Have you got a key for
Going
it?
abroad. Yes.
Thank you.
This case was abandoned for lack of evidence.
We'll put it back for you.
Church Road. Where are you going? Yeah. Because of the climate we're in at the moment, so many officers are so reluctant to do stop and searches on black people now. Just the fact that we're under so much pressure, and I don't know, it's just getting more and more difficult for police officers, really.
Backlash against the Met's new emphasis on race has been building up in the ranks. It is openly expressed to Assistant Commissioner Dennis O'Connor in a focus group in Brixton Station.
What we feel is that we're not being supported. I work on my own. I cannot risk stopping somebody on my own, especially if they're black, because my career is on the line. It's as simple as that.
Do you think in the stops we've reduced stopping and arresting black people in particular? Is that a consequence of
certainly a consequence here at Brixton, because you've got a disproportionate amount of black people living in Brixton. So obviously if you go out and you stop less people, you are going to stop less black people. That's natural.
But I think there's a misunderstanding there as well. I mean, I did some research. I mean, the black population of Lambeth is only something like 30%. I mean, what amazed me, sir, is when I went to the CRR training, we said, oh, some members of the community will be coming in to talk to you. Every single person was black. And all the time when we talk about community, we often mean the people who are going to cause, or they'll have a riot. We won't talk to the people who perhaps want. We always talk to people who will, you know, cause aggravation, rather than the community as a whole, the proper community.
Well, are they not part of the community then, those individuals?
They are, but they're not exclusive. Well, they are, yeah, but they're not exclusively. It's when you're presented with, this is the community, these 4 black men.
We need to turn it around and turn it around onto the people that are actually committing street crime. Blame them. They're the ones that are making us look bad. Let's shout from the rooftops that this is the amount of robberies that is being done every month, and these are the people that are doing it.
And also show what we're trying to do about it, that we're not sitting back and just accepting it. People moaning about it.
If I landed here from Mars now, you're all wonderful. You're unloved and uncared for, and the world just doesn't get the picture. Now, so how does a service like this, that, you know, tends to put its arms around one another, how does it ever move on in that basis?
I know it's got to. I'm just saying you can see that you will get that response if you say, right, because of this is what we're going to do. And now, if some people are prepared to look beyond, to get these little blinkers off and look beyond and see, right, I understand where it's going now and see that it's better for us.
Some of the racist crimes they have are quite spurious. I mean, one of them involves somebody going to a shop claiming that somebody was being racist because they wouldn't take goods back. But that's investigated by detectives because it has to be, because it's a racist crime. And because of that, what we've got there is that Rolls-Royce jobs are done on so-called racist crimes. Now, they're proper racist crimes. I agree that they need to be dealt with properly. However, as a result of the allocation of 2 teams of detectives to that, we have no one dealing with the drugs problem in Brixton. As far as I'm concerned, crack dealing that involves robbing and burgling affects the whole community is far more serious than that.
This area here is predominantly drug dealers. Look, they've all just gone through the thing there.
While stops and searches fall, street crime figures have risen. Officers see a worrying connection.
What we've got here is all the dealers will stand around this area, and as you can see, if you look here, look down there, people are just sort of moving off. As soon as they see the police turn up.
We used to have a spot in Cold Harbour Lane and Rushcroft Road, and we've put new cameras up there, so they've moved down here quite recently to get away from the cameras, because there's no cameras round by the arches.
If we water down the powers to stop and search, okay, it can be argued that we need to hone them in and use them properly, which, you know, is being endeavoured to be done. But if we water them down, these are the only people that are going to benefit. The dealers, you know, robbers, burglars, thieves.
Since the inquiry, since the report has come out, it has been mentioned to me by one or two, well, more than one or two, a fair majority of white people of all different ages, that, and they've actually asked me, are white people in Brixton going to become second-class citizens because of this report? And I can't answer that question. I don't know about, you know,
well, I'm
Scots
surprised you can't really, because throughout my whole career, people have been saying to me, and I've usually known when I've got it about right, because somebody on this side's been saying you're doing too much, and someone on that side said you do too little, and I've always figured out when they're on about that, I'm probably just about going through the middle of it all, which I guess what we have to do.
Yeah, we do that, and we try to do that, but prior to this inquiry, people didn't ask those questions, and it's multi-groups.
It's a fairly natural reaction.
It is. I mean, they're only asking it because they're frightened, and they don't want to find out that they are going to be treated as second-class citizens.
Sure.
Because everybody just gets in hand, if they get on with it, living on the estates, because that's all they can do.
Sure. And that would be, it would be foolish in our regard if that's the signal we send to people. It wouldn't do anything for the community at large, would it?
No.
It would just foster all sorts of nastiness, which wouldn't do anybody any good. And we are the good people at the end of the day. We end up for that.
My prediction was that there would be two sorts of responses. A very small number of officers would harden up their views around race, discrimination and so on, and would harden up their views in an unhelpful and cynical way. But they would be the minority. My feeling was that the majority of officers, their reaction would be one of confusion, hurt pride, fear, anxiety.
O'Connor has brought the concerns of lower ranks to the Commissioner's Policy Committee.
This for them is a period of grieving, not as dramatic as grieving in a loss in a personal life, but they are grieving for a loss of corporate pride, individual pride, and it will take time for them to come through that process. The grieving process will be influenced by other big events. So the catching of the nail bomber, that was a world-class operation. And so as time goes on, hopefully there will be other dramatic occasions and situations where their confidence and their sense of pride can be restored.
Still please, immediate call outside Westall BR station. Female has been robbed by 2 IC3 females and 1 IC3 male. She's had a £300 gold chain taken.
There's another call coming out to a female who's been robbed just down at the British Rail Station, which is about 200 yards down.
IC3 females and 1 IC3 male.
What does IC3 mean? Afro-Caribbean.
2 are seeing them, Sarah.
There's a chance.
I'll go in there.
We'll have a wander in.
It is hard to measure changed attitudes. While the police have made real progress in dealing with racially motivated crimes, the efforts to change police culture have hit problems. Although 60% of the force now accept the changes needed, the rest do not. Many fear that a more cautious approach to black suspects has led to a rise in crime and violence and hindered the policing of black communities.
Hello, mate. You haven't seen anyone come running through here in the past couple of minutes, have you? No one's come through here at all?
No.
Terrific. Thanks a lot.
706. Could you come up to Helen Road, please, for me?
Some of the units have got 2 other people stopped now, so he's just going to try and get one of the officers that saw them running to go up and see if he can sort of recognise them.
For the past year, race has been a major focus for Met Police resources, but resistance to change continues. It also makes it harder to recruit more black officers, seen as vital to restoring the confidence of the black community and changing police culture.
Things have changed. We are more answerable to the public. I don't see that as a problem at all. I think that's a good thing. I mean, there are a lot of people in this team now, and there's certainly a number on this team now that weren't even born when I joined the job, and a lot of them off duty put earrings in their ears and all this sort of thing, and they are part of the youth culture.
I had quite an interesting diversity course, and it was funny is that they kept saying, they said, yeah, lovely, you're changing, the lads, the people we had coming, you're changing, the police are changing, but then they got back onto what happened 10 years ago, Brixton riots, people getting beaten up in vans. Well, 10 years ago I was still at school probably, so I don't know what happened. I've never seen anybody beaten up in a police van.
What's he smoking then? I don't know, couldn't see what it was.
He's moving his left hand right. Excuse you, mate. When you get through the lights, you just want to pull over on the left hand side for us. Yeah?
Hello, mate. Listen, while we just pulled up alongside you over there, I saw you had something in your left hand, didn't you? You had something in your left hand. You were smoking something in your left hand.
Yeah.
What was it? Well, I'm suspecting that it possibly is a reefer, possession of drugs. So I'd like you to step out of the car. I'm going to have a look to see if you've got any drugs on you. Do you mind? You understand why I'm stopping you now? Yeah? Let's just take it nice and easy. I'll just stand there for a second. Where is that cigarette?
I dash it.
What was it then? You're going to tell me? One-on-one? It was something that you shouldn't have, but should we leave it at that, eh?
I dash it, that's the thing though.
I've never heard the expression dash it, you see, so I'm not quite sure on the old words. I'm going to get some more police officers, there's a few of you in here, and then I'll be able to do a proper search. But you understand, all right, why I'm searching you now, all right, when the police officers get here. You ever been in trouble before?
Yeah.
What for?
I had a little bit of puff in me.
Little bit of puff?
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Huh?
What happened to you with that?
I went to court and then got fined.
And you got a fine? Yeah. How long ago was that?
About a couple of months.
Couple of months? What police station did you go for that? Just stand here, see, keep walking away from me. Sorry, I can't hear you if you look that way. You're on probation, or you are on probation?
Yeah.
You're on probation at the moment. I mean, if you're honest with me, it makes it all a lot easier. The main thing I want to know now is, have you got anything on you that you shouldn't have? Okay, have you got any sharps or anything like that? Any blades or anything like that that I'm going to hurt myself or hurt you on? Okay. You want to take your stuff out of your pocket and then let me have a look as well? Okay. Just keep your hands up. Don't drop anything, all right? Might find it easier putting it all in the cap or something like that. What do you think? But keep your hands down. You don't need to do that.
All right.
Another one? Well, let me just see you.
Didn't have a chance to throw out the window then.
Let me see her from 10. Can you?
Only a little bit left anyway. You're not losing a lot, are you? Saves you getting arrested. How does that sound?
Anyway, listen. Here's a booklet. Because I've stopped you and because I've searched you, here's a booklet that we carry, all right? And it tells you what you should know about being stopped and searched. All right, so it just gives you some information here about what we can do and what we can't do, what you can do.
I think you find police aren't stopping so many people now, just because they're scared. I think that's one thing I have found. They're scared of, not of stopping people, but they're scared of losing their jobs for a malicious complaint, which you'd only get through stopping somebody.
Making a basic mistake?
Or, yeah, or making a mistake, and next minute you've lost your job, your pension, your house, you know, your family.
The vast majority of people here we don't have a problem with. It's the teenagers. I don't think the colour comes into it at all. I think the problem that we have throughout anywhere policing, or adults have in general, is the youth. The colour's irrelevant, but I think you can work in white areas, or predominantly white areas, and the problem is with the youth, with alcohol, with drugs, and things of that nature. Get off him! Get off! Get off! Get off! That's my brother, that's my brother. Get off! Stand it back! Right! Right! Drop that phone out! Get off! Oi! Can we have some more units here? Alright. Yeah. Are you with him? Yeah. Right, you take it away. You go away now. Right, you calm down. Watch him. Lima Sierra 710. Lima Sierra, MP from Lima Sierra 1. It's all under control. We've just got a load of people from Caesars calling out. We've got TSG on hand. We're just monitoring it at the moment, Lima Sierra 1. Let's just move along now, eh?